But first, we're going to talk about Road to ADCC coming up on Saturday on Flow Grappling. 6 matches coming into you. Do you remember what time of day that is?
I don't know what time it actually starts, to be honest with you. Usually it's around 5 or 6 o'clock time frame. And this is going to be a long event because they are using ADCC rule set, but with 20-minute matches, which I think we have 6 different matches. If you just go ahead and do the math behind that, you're looking at, if they go the entire time, you're looking at 2 hours of nonstop. That doesn't include the entrance, cleanup, and everything in between matches. So it's going to be a long night. We're probably looking around 3 hours of
just matches. 2 hours of pure grappling. Like you said, I think if I remember right on your picks, you didn't pick one single match by submission. So nope. In your mind, this does go the full 2 hours of grappling, and we're going to see hopefully a lot of action during those 2 hours of grappling.
It's going to be interesting because there's a lot of implications on this. So what Mo Jassim said is that only the first and second place are going to guarantee their invite back to ADCC, which means that you have all the trials winners and a handful of invitationals. And he said if somebody in this Road to ADCC format displays a great performance, that they're going to go ahead and get an invitation. So that's where you're going to have the likes of Mikey, where he hasn't gone ahead and won trials. He wouldn't, if he does get a performance and has gets an invitation, he can skip trials. Yeah. Anything can happen during trials, so that's awesome that you'd be able to skip out on that. Gio, also another person who didn't medal in first or second, and get first or second last time, he could get an invitation. There's a handful of those guys in here, like Nicky Ryan as well, who didn't medal, that they could earn an invitation through having a great match.
And that's pretty cool, because I think the only people that actually applies to would be Kynan, Mateus, and maybe not Barbosa. No, Barbosa didn't make the finals. Yeah, or did he?
No, he lost to Gordon because the finals for the 88 kilo was Gordon versus that tractor guy who was a late invite.
Oh yeah, I can't believe that he was the one that ended up making the finals at that one at 2019. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the only people you're looking at are Kynan and Denise, who actually have guaranteed invites, obviously back to the next ADCC. But those next 5 matches, everybody is up for that one spot that apparently Mo Jassim says is up for grabs. We'll see if that actually turns to be true, if multiple people get invites out of this 10-person group, or if that's just a promotional tactic. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I could see a few of them going ahead and getting an invite even without a stellar performance or a win here. So we'll see what goes on. With the first match, what we'll have to open it up, though, is going to be Cade Rutolo versus Roberto Jimenez, both very young grapplers. I believe typically Cade is in the 77, 66 area as far as weight, whereas Roberto is in the 88 kilos. So he is giving away a little bit of weight, but I don't think that's anything new for Cade. And then Cade is stepping up last minute, I assume because he was already planning to travel there with the other Atos guys already on the card. Mm-hmm. So
easy for him to hop in on that spot after Wiltsey dropped out. Did you hear what the injury actually was, or just that he was in fact injured?
I did not. I didn't even know if it was an injury for sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I read that it was because of an injury, which kind of surprised me with Andrew Wiltsey. He seems like the kind of guy that would just grapple with a broken arm.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's one of those guys that just doesn't care. He'll just go out there and do whatever.
Absolutely. So who you got for us in that Cade Rutolo versus Roberto Jimenez match?
I'm going to go ahead and go. My choice is going to be Cade Rutolo by points. I think this rule set is something that is going to be a huge benefit to Cade because he has the experience behind it. I think I can't remember if it was Cade losing to Nicky and Ty losing to Ethan in the trials last time that prevented him specifically from going to ADCC. But both those guys obviously had a pretty good performance at ADCC in the 66 kilo bracket. So I think this is something that Cade is very familiar with. Obviously, Roberto's a hell of a competitor, but I just think the training that Cade goes through with the Atos guys, they're very strategic in this format. He's going to be able to pull out the points.
Gotcha. I'm going to go ahead and flip the other side of the coin and say that Roberto Jimenez finds a way to win this match, and I'm also going to say by points. I don't think either of these guys is going to find the submission against each other. That doesn't mean I couldn't be wrong, obviously. Both guys are super dangerous, and both guys are pretty good finishers, but I am going to take Roberto by points in that first matchup of the night at Road to ADCC.
Nice. Yep, so that'll be an interesting match. Should be pretty exciting between the two of them. Then that leads us to the Lucas Barbosa versus William Tackett. And this is it was originally supposed to be Craig Jones, who had to pull out roughly 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, with a broken hand. And then the late replacement turned out to be William Tackett. But what I would have liked to have seen is Nicky Rod versus Lucas Barbosa.
That would have been a fun match, because that's a match that's never happened, correct?
No,
or
it did.
Did it happen at
BJJ
that BJJ Fanatics? That's what I was just going to say. That was the only event that I could think of that they'd ever been in the same bracket together.
Yeah, and Gordon Ryan is doing everything he possibly can to antagonize Hulk into doing it. And it's really funny because the comment I read from Nicky Rod is, how can you call yourself a Hulk and then say somebody's too big for you? And he's got a point. You can't go by the nickname of
Hulk. He's beating up on the little child, William Tackett. No, I mean, they're probably closer in weight than I realized, but I do think that Barbosa must have at least a semi-significant weight advantage going into that match.
I saw him at Pans, and he's not that big anymore.
Really?
I don't know if he stopped praying to Jesus and stopped eating acai, or COVID, everything that went on with the lockdown there.
His hookup was no longer available.
Well, just didn't have the money to do it. I mean, I heard that him and Hinger are washing Gordon Ryan's car for minimum wage tips, but we'll see. We'll see. He just didn't look as big at Pan Am's, and maybe that's just seeing him more in person, but he just did not look as big as he typically.
And that was how long ago?
May.
Just a couple of weeks? All right. That's going to influence my pick.
Okay. Well, I'm choosing Barbosa by points still, because we saw what Ty Rutola did to Tackett on short notice. And I think Barbosa is still better than Ty. I mean, he's a medalist at ADCC.
Yeah.
He's not.
And this is actually a match that I believe happened at one of the Subversives a while back. I believe there was the 3-on-3, and Lucas Barbosa ended up going against William Tackett in that, and Barbosa did find the victory in that one. I think it was by ref's decision. I can't say for sure.
Okay.
But that said, I'm going to pick William Tackett. I'm going to pick the sub-spectrum 185-pound champion, William Tackett, out of Austin, Texas, to take the victory over Lucas Barbosa in that second matchup of the night.
That is a ballsy pick. I honestly believe that. I think Barbosa will win on points, though. I can't remember the last time Barbosa submitted somebody. I'm going to be honest with you. And in this format, it's such a long match. And so you start to play
as you rub your temples. It's such a long match. Fuck.
It is. It's a 20-minute match, and I'm assuming it's 10 minutes no scoring, 10 minutes scoring. And by the time that first 5 to 10 minutes happens in an ADCC format, I assume they're not going to be wearing shirts. Good luck locking in a submission.
That is true.
Let alone getting into position that is dominant. It's just going to be hard. So I just anticipate maybe a takedown. That would be my guess. Maybe he gets to the back, but I just see Barbosa being able to, again, the auto strategy is to go ahead and do this. Yeah. That's just what they do. They don't win a lot on submissions. I mean, they do, but yeah. So we'll see what happens. And I have Barbosa by points. The next match is one of what I'm going to call as the match of the night. Elizabeth Clay versus Carolina Anna Vieira, or Anna Carolina Vieira. One of too many first names.
What about that matchup is giving you fight of the night vibes?
Well, it's Adolfo's sister, so.
That I honestly did not know.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Anna Carolina Vieira. I am like uncultured jiu-jitsu swine right now when it comes to her. Haven't seen a lot of her. I love what Liz Clay brings to the women's division. So. Yeah,
so she's part of that team there, and she has been a huge influence for a lot of women. So I just think that both of them are going to be able to put on that insane pace. And they both have a massive rivalry with Gabby, but Vieira's is very legitimate as like, I fucking hate this lady. I hate it. So
Have they faced?
Yes. I'd have to go back and look at what all the results and what the actual finishes were, et cetera, the method of victory. But yeah, so that's what it is there. And they both want to be an ADCC, and they're both above the 66 kilo mark, with Liz typically competing at about 162 and Vieira at 152, I believe.
Wow. And they have to compete against Gabby, who's going to be every bit of what? 210, 220?
She's massive because she's not short either. So Gabby looks like that. Have you seen Mortal Kombat?
No, I have not.
Okay. So Mortal Kombat, one sec. I got to look at this character's name. She looks like the guy in there with 4 arms. So you can go ahead and put in Shao Kahn. He's a half human, half dragon race, and he has 4 arms.
That's pretty accurate.
Goro is his name.
She's a beast, man.
Gabby Garcia looks like Goro from Mortal Kombat. That's if you're watching this, put them face or side by side with both their faces. Tell me they do not look the same. That's so. Anyway, sorry about the Gabby Garcia slander. Acai and Jesus. She needs to stop running from Craig Jones is what needs to happen. But that match will eventually happen, hopefully. But yeah, so.
Brought to you on pay-per-view.
I will not pay
I thought it was kind of hilarious how they were like going to do that match, and then literally 20 minutes before they're like, yeah, we're going to do this on a place where we can make money to do it. They were just going to put it up on like what, the BJJ World TV YouTube channel, I think. And then they had like a press conference instead. And
arm wrestling match?
Is that what it was?
No, they ended up doing an arm wrestling match.
Yeah, and Craig just let her.
Yeah. No, she beat his ass.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So,
of course. Fuck Craig Jones.
Yeah, fuck Craig Jones. But also fuck Gabby Garcia. Yeah, so that's what we're saying there. The next match is going to be another very good match. So it's on paper going to be a great match, but Nicky Ryan versus Dante Leon. If there was a match that I would feel very confident in going the entire distance, I'd put all my money on this match.
Really? And I think that's pretty accurate because as good as Nicky's attacks are, we've seen in the last couple matches of who's number one, he's had trouble submitting his opponents. And submitting a guy like Dante Leon is not going to come very easy.
Yeah, and I mean...
Short shorts, ADCC style. Fuck you gonna do?
Oh, yeah, he's a monster, too. He posts a lot of his lifting stuff, and that's a topic I want to get into at some point. We may be able to get into tonight, but he is very adamant and very to the point with his lifting. He follows it, and he posts all the shit that he does, and he's a strong dude. I see him lift. He puts up massive weight. So
I will have absolutely nothing to say when it comes to that portion of the podcast.
But just an interesting fact is that Dante Leon's only been subbed 7 times since 2017. And of those 7 times, 6 of them were, 5 of the 7 were either Atos or DDS. So it was Gary Tonin, I believe. Who was it? Oh, then so it was Hinger.
We have a fairly poorly worded version of BJJ Heroes coming at you right now.
Yeah. So it's Hinger, King, and Perez, Wagner. Tonin all subbed in them. Kyle Bame subbed him at King.
Mike Perez?
Yeah. And outside heel hook.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was that at?
I don't remember where it exactly was. I'm going to guess Trials.
Again,
I could be wrong. Or
poorly worded version of BJJ Heroes.
If you remember, Matt Layton faced him. And one of those 7 matches where
he submitted him in the gi with the farm bar. The farm bar.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
That's the point I was getting at with that. So with this match, I'm still picking the previous match as well. Sorry. I took Vieira by points with the match of the night.
Yeah. And I never got to my pick. Well, I guess I did. I talked about how I really like what Liz Clay brings. Again, I don't know anything about Anna Carolina Vieira, but I like Liz Clay in this match. I'm going to pick her.
Nice. So the next match that we just covered a little bit is the Nicky Ryan versus Dante Leon. I am taking Dante via points.
Dante via points. And as much as I'd love to go the opposite of you, once again, I am going to also pick Deontay. And give him a...
Lay off the Tito's. Yeah.
No,
so
Dante Leon via points in that matchup against Nicky Ryan. The fourth match of 6 that night.
So this match is one that I'm the most excited for. If that women's match doesn't get match of the night, this one will. It's
And
gonna be
you're
one of these
speaking
two.
Dante versus Nikki, or are
No,
you talking
this
about the
next-
next match that we're
The
about
next
to talk
match we're about to
Gotcha.
get into. And that's Mikey versus Gio.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great match.
It's going to be exciting because neither one of them stop ever. They don't get tired. They just keep going. They never stop. And it's going to be one of the more challenging matches for each of them. Right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. They
Gio,
both bring kind of like a contrasting style. It's going to be troublesome to the others, and it'll be interesting to see who's able to get that breakthrough.
yeah. So, and Gio, yes, he plays the points game, but he doesn't, that's not his priority. So if he gets up on points, he's still going for the finish, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you'll have people that they'll get up 2-0, 4-0, whatever, and they'll not necessarily stall. They'll just shell up and they won't overextend themselves. Gio doesn't care.
Yeah.
He'll still go for the kill. And that's what's awesome about, I've never watched a Gio match and be like, this is boring. Actually, I take that back. There was one.
Him versus Eddie Cummings?
Yes.
A little bit boring, right? That was the
Yeah.
one match I was going to bring up where I was like, well, he didn't really shell up, but he did basically just defend Eddie's like honey hole for pretty much the entire match, wasn't it?
Yes.
I believe it was like almost the whole 15-minute match for
And
the
that's typically,
finals.
yeah, that's typically the example of that's best given of a guy dominating a match and then losing in overtime. And the reason that people dislike EBI rules.
Myself being one of them.
I get it. I completely get it. So I'm going with Mikey on this by points.
Mikey Mescamisi.
What was that?
Is that how you say it? Musamichi. Mescamichi. I don't know why.
Muscamichi sounds like a
I
time.
think it's because for the longest time I mispronounced his name because I only had ever read it. I'd never really heard somebody say it. You kind of just fill in the blanks if you're not really trying to spell it out.
Fair enough. Yep.
But Mikey Musamichi, I will also take him via points in this match. As much as I'd love to see one of them get the breakthrough via submission, I am going to take him by points.
In our main event is 2 gold medalists. We have the 99 plus kilo versus the 88 kilo.
Yes.
And in this match, it's pretty big because if you look back at Mateus, he did not get a single point scored on him the entire ADCC.
It's really impressive, especially considering that bracket at 88.
Yeah. He beat Josh Hinger in the final. No, Craig Jones. Hinger got third and lost to Mateus in the semis, whereas Craig beat John Blank in the semis, I want to say.
That is correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
So we have Mateus Denise versus Kainan Duarte. And in this match, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Kainan Duarte in this match. Just the bigger man. Obviously, both ADCC champions. Technique-wise, probably hard to differentiate between the two of them, but Kainan is obviously the bigger man. I'm going to take Kainan by points in this match.
I am doing the exact same. A little interesting fact, only 3 people ever have submitted Mateus, though. And this leads to why I choose points, right?
Yeah.
So they each have barely been submitted. Mateus has only been submitted by 3 people. It was Gordon, most recently, who's number 1.
Yep.
And then he also was submitted by Barbosa, Kainan's teammate,
Oh, okay.
and Murillo Santana. But here's where it's interesting. Murillo has submitted him 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
Early on, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
because Murillo hasn't done a whole lot of competing as of recent.
No,
correct?
I think his last big competition as far as with the adult division was the 2017 ADCC.
What a damn legend.
Yeah, absolutely.
How old is he? He's got to be pretty old.
I have no idea how old he is. But
He's the man behind Unity,
Yep.
right?
And he has the most captivating voice in all of jiu-jitsu.
Really? I don't think I've ever actually heard his voice.
If you get a chance, go listen to Murillo Santana speak. And it's awesome. I want him to narrate my life. And if I ever have a eulogy, I've never met Murillo, but I want him to come to my funeral and
right,
speak on my behalf.
I'll keep that in the subspectrum budget in case Derrick dies before 40. I will reach out to Murillo Santana while he's still available as a voice actor and get him to read your eulogy.
So he is 38.
38. Okay.
Yeah, so he's 30. No.
So I was thinking maybe 40, but
No, he was 34
quite
at that
pushed
last one. And his last Registered competition was 2020. Wow, I take a lot of this back. 2020 absolutes. He beat Jonatas Gracie. He choked him out. He lost a decision to Hinger.
These are IBJJFs?
2019. He lost to Hinger at Fight to Win.
Okay.
A lot of them are IBJJF. But
Gotcha.
And then he was at the 2019. I fucking knew that. He lost to John Blank at 2019 ADCC.
Yeah.
So ignore everything I just said about Morello. But anyway, that's besides the point. And then with Kynan, he has only been submitted a handful of times as well. One of them being the illustrious Lachlan Giles run at Absolute.
Yes,
So-
that was amazing.
Yeah. So
I'm going to take a pause here and plug in my laptop just to make sure. How long have we been going? 26 minutes. Feels like a lot longer. Anyways,
all right, so back to the entire situation that goes on with these matches is it's hard to pick a submission victory because they're not necessarily because I believe they're going to stall or anything. It's just so hard to submit a lot of these
of
people.
course, all of these guys in here are not anybody that's easy to submit, and it's the matchups too that
Yeah.
make it like it's just going to be difficult to see very many, if any, submissions in these 6 matches. Obviously, there's like all people that are, I believe, probably in the top 5 of the divisions. Maybe
I really don't think
I don't think there's anybody that's not in the top 5 of the
maybe
division.
Cade, that would be my only guess, or Gio.
Yeah.
Those would be my guesses for people that aren't in the top 5 within their weight.
The only reason Gio wouldn't be in the top 5 is just because he's not super active, but
No.
he definitely deserves a spot in that top 5 because I think you probably see him in at least the quarters, maybe the semifinals of an ADCC.
It was tough his last ADCC because he had tough matchups.
Yeah.
Going back to that, he didn't get I don't want to say the luck of the draw, but he just non-favorable matchups is what I'll call them because and sometimes that's just what happens when it comes to those. So I hope he's able to earn an invite through this because I love seeing him compete, especially when it comes to the non-full, like the ADCC or the EBI or the Fight to Win, who's number 1, all those rule sets. So yeah, I mean, last time, who did he lose to? Oh yeah, he lost to, recently lost to Carina Jr. And then Mateus Gabriel at ADCC, who was a, who's he with? Checkmat, yeah.
Checkmat.
Yeah. So one
Makes
of
sense.
the heavy IBJJF schools.
Yeah. And I know you had mentioned that Liz Clay versus Ana Carolina Vieira was your pick for fight of the night. Are there any other matchups that you're looking at to be super exciting or one that people should look out for?
The Gio and Mikey is going to be the second most exciting. I think the Cade one and Roberto will also give it.
That's the one that I was looking at. I think that's a match that's super exciting. Roberto's almost never in a really boring match.
Yep.
And against a guy like Cade who brings the pressure and
They don't
funky submissions
stop.
and they just are always doing something. I imagine that's going to create a really cool dynamic between him and Roberto in that match.
Yeah. And so I'm excited to see that, which we'll see how accurate our picks are. If you have any picks out there, go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, definitely drop a comment. Let us know who you think's going to win. We check all of the comments every week, so you're welcome to drop a comment, and we'll comment back to you.
If you get it perfect, I'll go ahead and reach out to you, and I'll have a little prize for you.
Ooh, Derrick is made of money.
I got to pay for a trip to Croatia, so our budget is thin.